Hello, my name is Arthur, and in the last video we got our first bit of syntax highlighting in place. So we've got the single line comment and the multi-line comment sort of working. Um, yeah, there's some breakdowns. Um, it should know better. It should know that it's in quotes here. This should know that it's in quotes. And this symbol, well, this symbol is a different story, and we're going to have to look at how this one works. So this video will get the quotation, the double quote, sort of in place, and we'll look at the problem, and we'll look at a couple of the complications in this video. And then we'll wrap it up because we're not going to want to spend several hours trying to figure it out on video. So yeah, I've already put in the color and the tag into the main C for the quote color, so that's a yellow color, and it'll be called quote. So first off, we'll well, I've added in a text tag, so we now have tag and quote, because we're going to need to be able to see if things are inside of quote. So if they're inside of the quote tag. So we're going to copy this one, and we're going to paste it up here. Because the routine for the quotation marks is highly similar to the routine for this. Except maybe one part. Now, one thing that I notice with this software is if I put an empty quote here, it doesn't touch the other line. Now, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Now, if I put it in here, it turns this into a string, but it doesn't turn this into a string. So, it used to be that I thought, well, maybe that behavior is an accident. But it turns out that behavior is not an accident. So let's actually well, we'll have to comment out this line, and there's a reason for this. Comment out this. Oh, it still does it. Wow. Okay, we're gonna have to finish doing the quote first. So we'll finish doing the quote and then we'll look at the reasons. So to make the symbol for a quote, we have to put the slash in there. And that would be the same slash that we use for escape sequence new line or escape sequence tab. And same thing here. Now, I think that I should make this behave the same way as this software, rather than assume that it's doing something wrong. Because it turns out that the software knows more than I thought it did. And some of the things that I thought it was doing by mistake are actually quite on purpose. So in here what we're going to do is so this works exactly the same as the other comment. It's going to look for a first incident, of a quotation mark, then it's going to find the next incident and apply a tag between them. And if it doesn't find a next incidents, it will end it on a line. That raises a interesting thought in my head. Also, okay, we're going to explore that further later, and rather than complicate this part right now, we're going to leave mine the way that it was intended to be. So my intention was to make it so if I made an open quote, it would turn the rest of the document yellow. And either way about it, an open quote is going to throw a compiler error. So that's the point that a problem is at. So I don't know why this one works the way that it does, but for now we're just going to look at this like this. So we'll see if that compiles, and we'll see what it does when we open a document. So it'll be close, but it's not going to work right. Okay, we segmented. Why is that? Okay, probably has to do with this stuff. So this is supposed to be quote. This is supposed to be quote. And this is supposed to be quote. It's trying to remove things that don't exist. So let's see if that was the problem there. Okay, so our comments are working, our quotes are kind of working, but they're getting overridden by comments. So we can see we have some quotes here, but the comments are not functioning quite right. We have an odd number of quotes inside of these format specifiers, so they're just kind of not working right. That's working right. It can't see that this is a specifier, so it's treating a mark that it shouldn't be treating like a close quote as a close quote. So the number of quotes here is wrong, causing it to highlight in the wrong place. So I hope these explanations are clear. These are just the things that are going on that are wrong. So we'll just close and discard that. Now for the single line comment, what we'll do here is I think that we can sort this one out the most quickly. So we go if not GTK text iter has tag, we'll go end. I think it should be end, or it might not actually even matter, and quote is the tag. Then we would go like this. We would go like this. And we would bring all this stuff in like that. So what that's going to do is that's going to check that it's not sitting inside of quotes like this. And if it's sitting inside of quotes like this, it's not going to act like a tag, like a comment. So we'll try compiling that. Okay, that's just a little typo there. So we'll close that. We'll use the same document. So our comments are working. This comment is no longer being treated like a comment because it's inside of quotes. So that's this part of the script, and it's worked. Now, this part of it is a little more complicated. So we're actually going to go, okay, that's as much as we're going to get done. We'll end the video by looking why this next part is a little more complicated. So how it's more complicated is this. Now, my first impression of this is this was a mistake in the software. So let's save this. Now, what I would have thought is that the problem with the compiler would be this missing symbol, that it would treat everything like it is commented out. That was what I thought would happen. But it turns out that what I thought was a problem with this software is actually very deliberate. And we can see that right here. Where does the error pop up? The error pops up because the compiler isn't looking at the fact that this symbol is in quotes. Now, if we take that symbol out, clearly the compiler is treating this one as though it's in quotes. So it's not looking for this one. But when we put this symbol outside of quotes, it starts looking for this symbol and seemingly disregards the fact that it's in quotes. It's insisting on finding it. So, yeah, I don't know if I would describe that as a problem with the compiler. It kind of seems like the compiler should be a little smarter than that. We can fix the issue. We can respect the behavior of the compiler and go, well, it's pretty insistent on finding this symbol. So now if we go like this and we save and we compile, what's going to happen is a little bit different. It's complaining about an unterminated comment. So it doesn't like the fact that this is not terminated, and it's complaining about this missing symbol right here. So it's going, well, it's determining something about this symbol, right? Rather than seeing that this one is, rather than complaining about that one. So if we go like this, it's going to be satisfied. So, yeah. So, I hope that what I've said there is actually clear. This is just one last curiosity. I know it's going to throw an error, but I'm curious as to where it's going to throw the error. Because it's going to be unhappy with that. So in this case, it's really just unhappy about this. I was curious if it would be looking from here down and insist that this had to start, but it doesn't work that way. So yeah, that's the behavior that we want to come up with. So if we were to look at that in terms of my test script, in the next video we'll try to simulate the behavior of the exit or Z, however it said, software in regards to how it's going to treat this symbol. So this one, we want it to go, oh, that's in quotes, and ignore it. And also ignore this one because it's not looking for it until we type this in. Then we want it to end just like this, because that's what the compiler will do. So yeah, that's the behavior we'll want to try to simulate in the next video, and then we'll start looking at the escape sequences so that our software would be able to see, because this is all correctly written. This was a functioning, well, sort of functioning part of this first attempt at doing some syntax highlighting, and this is all typed correctly and would compile, but the way that it looks here, it would not compile because the software isn't able to see this in the proper way. It's not able to see, we'll find the symbol where it's breaking down, and what we'll find is it's the symbol right here. So this is where things start breaking down, because it can't recognize that this is not an end quote. This is a symbol to say, don't treat me like an end quote. That's what that symbol says. And if we went and we put a quote here in, everything would go back to the way it is. It's just not able to see that this says, don't treat me like an end quote. So we'll have to make it so this does not get treated like an end quote, and then that it can see the escape sequences and highlight them. So those are our two upcoming complications. First off, we'll sort out the issue with the way the compiler will treat this if there is an open multi-line comment symbol. And I would also suggest that because the way the compiler works, when we make symbols like this, that this is the way they should be typed to respect the compiler. Even this one, even though it doesn't need to be, this one is not mandatory or anything, and seemingly neither is this one, but because this one is, typing it in this fashion is probably the way to go. Okay, I'm going to type it in a way that doesn't confront the compiler, and be aware that there's certain ways, certain symbols that if we type them in certain ways, they are going to be abrasive inside of the compiler. So that will compile with them written that way. It will work, and it won't have issues with the compiler when it comes to certain things. So in the next video we'll go that little bit further, and we'll try to get the multi-line comment acting in a way that reflects the behavior of the GCC compiler. So until then, I hope this was helpful, and take care.